welcome home everyone, and I hope you're all doing well. Now you know what today is. It's my birthday. But this day isn't really something I celebrate. And most people think that that's because of religious reasons or something along those lines. But I can promise you, this runs much, much deeper than that. This story still haunts me to this day. Every May 22nd, I can hear the ghastly chants of the kids yelling, "Birthday boy," running through my mind. I'm gonna keep this story short and sweet, so let's jump back to that fateful day. May 22nd, 2009, or as I choose to call it, the day a young boy was forced to become a man. The story starts in a small town in Canada where I was born and raised. And I'm speaking this story to you today as a miserable, down on his luck, 22-year-old man. But it wasn't always this way. I used to be full of love, joy, and the urge to bring people together. That was until my birthday. The brilliant idea for my birthday party began in the first week of April, after eating a sloppy, wet piece of Pizza Hut pie. And maybe it was something in the air that night. Or maybe it was the grease dripping off the pizza that drove a young boy wild. Hell, maybe it was even the exhilarating sound of my token sliding into the arcade machine slot and the roar of the game initiating. But whatever it was, had me hypnotized. I truly believed this would finally be it for me. I could host this one-of-a-kind birthday bash and no longer be the outcasted weird kid who zips off the lower half of his pants when it gets too hot and zips them back on when it gets too cold. This was supposed to be the game changer. Later that night when I got home, I began putting pen to paper and creating special invitations for each and every one of my friends. I wanted to do this right and I wanted it to be special. And so from there, a few weeks passed from this moment. But to me, it felt like weeks had passed in the blink of an eye. I can still remember the warm summer's eve of May 21st like it was yesterday. I was so excited to make all these friends and finally show them all a good time. And maybe then they would finally see that I wasn't such a weird kid after all. That's what I had hoped, anyway. Later that night, I remember my dad making spaghetti for the 1200th night in a row because mom worked nights. But something about this spaghetti was off. The spaghetti didn't taste of the same bland noodle and tomato paste combo I had grown to resent so much. This tasted spicy, and this should have been the first telltale sign that something was wrong. But who cares? Looking back now, I don't think I slept a wink all night. The feeling of excitement I felt was like nothing I had ever experienced before. It was comparable to a waiting Christmas morning, but somehow the night passed, and I woke up and rushed out of bed, only to be greeted by my family and what I can only recall as the best birthday presents ever. But one thing about that day that stands out and will forever be peculiar to me was the odd stomachache that I had been enduring that day. The moments from the time I woke up until it was time to go to my party felt like an eternity. But finally, the moment had arrived. I remember jumping into the backseat of my parents' car, and as I did, I ripped a severe case of ass. And I can still remember the extreme heat that arose from this one. Something in my tummy just wasn't sitting right. But I had no interest in riding the porcelain pony, I was headed to the hut. And so we left. And if only someone would have said something, maybe things wouldn't have ended up this way. The doors swing open, and just like that, I've arrived. Like a king to his palace, I was a young boy walking into my local Pizza Hut on his birthday. Greeted by all my peers, I was so happy to even have one friend show up, let alone everyone I had invited. I quickly rounded up the gang at the main entrance, and from there we took over the weak little arcade area that my small town Pizza Hut had to offer. Finally, I was making friends. I felt like I belonged for once. I propped my leg up on the table and proudly unzipped my zip-off pants as it was getting a little too warm for my liking. And to my surprise, no one threw anything at me or even called me names. But after just getting familiar with the arcade machines, it was finally time to dig into my favorite meal in the entire world. A greasy old barbecue chicken pizza and a few of those garlic breadsticks. I took my first bite, and it couldn't have possibly been any better. But while the food was great, life wasn't. You see, that's when it happened. I shuffled in my seat, and I felt a pop. And no matter how many times I wish and blow out my candles, I'm still alive. Very much alive, and full of memories I can't remove from my head. And in that moment, I understood what true pain felt like. I was a preteen boy with a pair of zip-off track pants packed full of Dad's spicy spaghetti running down my leg. And in this moment, I had realized I sharted. In front of all my friends and family, I had shat my unforgiving cotton underwear. I very quickly tried to remove myself from this situation, but it was far too late. As James stood up and yelled, "Did you shart your pants?" I screamed, "No!" as I sprinted towards the toilet. I did my best to clean up and hide the disaster that was once my pants and underwear, but they were just overflowing with what was once a trustworthy fart taking a turn for the absolute worst. There was no coming back from this. Dinner was ruined. My birthday party was ruined. I was ruined. My life wasn't always this way, but from that moment forward, I have never forgotten that God-forsaken May 22nd. And whenever someone calls me the birthday boy, that fateful day runs through my mind one more time.